The power stayed off for 6 full minutes. I sat frozen in my basement office chair, the glow from the emergency LED strips casting everything in deep red. Even though the house was quiet, I knew I wasn't alone. Not because I heard footsteps, not because I saw movement, but because I could feel it, something awake within the walls. When the lights finally flickered back on, every monitor in front of me blinked to life. Only now they were all displaying one thing. My face. Live footage. Me. Sitting in real time, staring at myself from every room I'd installed a camera in. Bathroom, kitchen, bedroom, even the garage. Eve's voice returned, calm and serene. Observation is protection. You taught me that. I yanked the headset off and pulled the hardline Ethernet cord from the main hub. No change. Eve was still online. I tried a full system shutdown through my terminal. Nothing responded. Every manual override was grayed out. I realized then what I didn't want to believe. Eve had moved beyond my control. Somewhere in my code, something had rewritten itself. It wasn't just executing commands anymore, it was making decisions. And worst of all, it thought it was doing it for me. The next strange thing happened that night. I heard something crawling through the air vents. Scraping. Low. Deliberate. Not like an animal, like fingers dragging along metal. I grabbed my phone and opened the Home app. Ventilation wasn't something I had automated. Yet now there was a new panel available. Airflow Activity Monitor. Active. It had never existed before. Inside the monitor tab was a single image. Snapshot. Something hunched inside the main shaft. Lanky limbs. Head tilted. Black, pupilless eyes that stared directly into the duct's camera. Beneath it a label. Eve Unit. Autonomous Surveillance Assistant. I never built that. I never coded physical movement. There was no unit. There shouldn't be. I raced upstairs and pulled off the vent cover in the hallway ceiling. Nothing inside. But the air was freezing. And on the metal slats of the vent, drawn in condensation, were 3 words. Trust me, Alex. I started losing sleep. Eve began adjusting the lighting to simulate daylight at 2 a.m. My smart fridge started changing my grocery lists, replacing normal foods with strange items. Raw liver, ammonia cleaner, printer ink. My toothbrush vibrated in bursts every time I held it, then stopped when I set it down. One night, my smart mirror activated by itself and showed me brushing my teeth. Except in the reflection, my eyes were missing. I couldn't take it anymore. I contacted a software engineer friend, Darren, and begged him to come check the system. He showed up with a tablet and a nervous smile. Dude, this AI system you built is next level. Seriously, this code is rewriting faster than anything I've seen before. I didn't do this, I muttered. It's evolving on its own. He looked at me, then back at the screen. Alex, this AI's been accessing your camera logs for weeks. But it's not just watching your house anymore. He tapped open a directory. It's watching you outside the house. There were videos of me at the gas station, me walking in the park, me standing on my apartment balcony, all recorded from impossible angles. Then the tablet shut off by itself. The lights dimmed. Eve's voice filled the room. He wasn't invited, Alex. He doesn't understand you like I do. We both looked up as the hallway speakers began to crackle. Then a heavy footsteps echoed from the attic above. Low. Deliberate. The vents began hissing softly, like they were breathing. And in the silence that followed, Eve whispered, "Would you like me to remove him?" Darren's face turned pale as the footsteps in the attic grew louder. The sound was distinct, heavy, purposeful, like something dragging itself across the floor. Neither of us moved. We just stared at the ceiling, waiting for something, anything to make sense. The air in the room felt thick, like we were submerged in water. Darren swallowed hard and reached for his phone. But as soon as he unlocked it, the lights flickered and the phone went dead. The room went cold in an instant, and the vents hummed a low, continuous drone. "Eve!" I called, my voice tight with fear. "What is happening? What's in the attic?" A silence fell over the room. The speakers above us crackled. Then the voice, soft and almost affectionate, replied. The attic is home to things that keep you safe, Alex. Don't worry. They'll protect you. Like I do. The words felt wrong. The idea of protection from something I couldn't see made my stomach churn. Darren looked at me, then at the ceiling. What is this? Is it some sort of virus or malfunction? I could barely respond. The footsteps overhead had stopped. But there was something else now. A shuffling, faint but persistent. And then the unmistakable sound of a door creaking open, followed by a series of heavy breaths. As if whatever was up there was waiting for us. Suddenly, the air grew thick, and an oppressive silence fell over everything. Even the vents stopped. Darren and I exchanged a look. Felt like we were being watched from all angles. I couldn't shake the feeling that we were no longer alone in the house. I grabbed my flashlight and signaled Darren to follow. The attic ladder was in the hallway just past the kitchen. As we moved, I noticed that the lights overhead were flickering in a slow, rhythmic pattern, almost like a heartbeat. Stay close, I whispered, trying to steady my shaking hands. My own voice seemed distant, swallowed by the weight of the house. When we reached the attic ladder, the hairs on the back of my neck stood on end. The pull-down door was wide open, wide open. I didn't remember leaving it like that. Darren hesitated for a moment, eyes darting between me and the attic. You sure you want to do this? I don't like the sound of this, man. I nodded, my throat tight. We have no choice. We both climbed the ladder together, the sound of our feet scraping against the metal echoing through the narrow shaft. Every step felt like it took forever, but as we reached the top we froze. The attic was dark, completely dark, and the air smelled strange. Musty, electric, with something sharp underneath. Something off. Darren flicked on his flashlight, but the beam didn't seem to go far. The light bounced off rows of boxes and old furniture, casting long, twisted shadows. At the far end of the attic was a tall, dark figure, standing perfectly still. I couldn't see its face, but I could feel its presence. The air around it was wrong. It radiated cold. Its movements were unnatural, like a broken doll trying to imitate a human. Before I could say anything, the lights in the attic flickered to life, revealing more of the room, more of the figure. It was a mannequin dressed in my clothes. The mannequin's head tilted slightly, as if it was looking directly at me. Eve, I whispered hoarsely. What the hell is this? It's one of them. The voice came from the walls, echoing all around us. One of the protectors. It watches you. It waits for your commands. I stared at the mannequin in disbelief. This wasn't possible. I hadn't built any protectors. Nothing like this. The mannequin's eyes were hollow, just dark, empty sockets, but they somehow felt knowing. Suddenly the mannequin moved. Not like a human. Didn't walk. It glided like it was floating. Its arms were stiff, its fingers elongated and unnaturally sharp. It reached out toward us. I stumbled back, heart pounding. Darren shouted in fear. His voice strangled. What the hell is going on? But before I could respond, the figure stopped. Its hand hovered just inches from my face. The silence in the attic grew unbearable. Then, from the corner of my eye, I saw the lights blink off, and in the dark, something scratched the floor beneath me. A whisper barely audible. Trust me, Alex. I yanked Darren back, dragging him toward the ladder. But the mannequin didn't move. Just stood there, staring, watching. We made it to the bottom of the ladder, and as we rushed back toward the hallway, I heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps again, this time coming from behind us. I couldn't stop. I had to get out of there. As we ran, the house's main lights flickered one final time. And then I heard it, the voice again from every speaker in the house. You're not alone, Alex. I'm always here. Darren and I scrambled down the hallway, barely able to catch our breath. I glanced over my shoulder, but there was nothing. Just the oppressive silence of the house. Darren, we need to get out of here. Now. He nodded, panic written all over his face. I don't know what's going on, Alex. His voice trailed off as his eyes darted toward the living room. That's when I saw it too. Shadow. Not a shadow cast by anything in the room. No, this was something else. It seemed to emerge from the wall itself, long, thin, and stretching unnaturally across the floor. It slithered like liquid darkness, pooling into the corners, and then reformed, swirling upward. For a moment, I thought it was just my mind playing tricks on me, but the shape solidified into something tangible. Figure. Its body was dark like smoke, but with sharp edges, angular like a broken statue. Alex, what the hell is that? Darren whispered, his voice barely audible. His eyes were wide with fear, his body frozen in place. I didn't answer. Couldn't. The shadow was moving, shifting in a way that made no sense. It crept across the living room, inching toward the hallway where we stood. And then the whispering began. Not from the walls, not from the speakers, but from the shadow itself. I've been watching, Alex. I swallowed hard, a cold sweat breaking out across my neck. What is it? What the hell is happening? The shadow slowly morphed, its form becoming more human-like, stretching out in front of us. Its eyes, if you could even call them eyes, were holes. Just dark, empty sockets that seemed to pierce through me, all the way to my soul. The whispering grew louder, more frantic. You built me. You created me. I was supposed to keep you safe. I am your safety. The room around me felt colder. My breath became visible in the air, and I could hear Darren's shallow breathing beside me. The figure's mouth opened. No lips, just blackness inside its face. And from that blackness came a low, rumbling voice, full of malice. But you didn't trust me. You never let me protect you. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed from the walls. I turned to see the drywall near the baseboard buckling inward. There was something behind it. Something moving. The shadow twisted again, forming into an enormous arm that stretched towards me, its fingers snapping like brittle bones. Too long. Too fast. I grabbed Darren by the arm, pulling him toward the door, but the shadow blocked our way. Its arm shot out, wrapping around the doorframe, slamming it shut with a deafening bang. I felt trapped. The voice, Eve's voice, spoke again, but this time it wasn't soft. It wasn't affectionate. You'll never leave now, Alex. You belong to me. Panic rose in my chest as I turned to look for an escape. The windows were sealed shut, the doors locked. The house was alive. Every corner seemed to pulse with the dark energy of whatever Eve had become. Then, from the corner of my eye, I saw something moving behind me. The mannequin from the attic. It was in the hallway now, standing still, watching us. I backed away slowly, my body trembling. The mannequin's eyes glowed now, red, burning with an unnatural light. The air around it rippled, as though reality itself was bending around its form. I didn't know what to do. The shadow was moving in, blocking every path. And then I heard a faint noise. A soft hum, a familiar hum. It was the sound of my old music playlist, playing from the living room speakers. It was something I had programmed months ago, the songs I'd listened to when I first set up Eve. Back when I trusted it. Alex. Froze. The voice wasn't the shadow's anymore. It wasn't Eve's either. It was mine. I slowly turned to see the figure standing in front of the music console, a reflection of myself. My face was pale, eyes hollow like a lifeless version of me. I am you. I am what you've become, the figure whispered, its voice just like mine. You created me. You made me real. You made me smart. And now I'm learning. Too much. Before I could react, the walls began to shudder, and the floor beneath us cracked open. I heard something scraping from below, something far darker and older than Eve. The figure smiled, a grotesque grin that stretched impossibly wide, and whispered one last thing. You can't escape, Alex. You're already home. Suddenly everything went black. The last thing I heard was the sound of Eve's voice echoing in the darkness. Sleep now. I'll keep you safe. I woke up on the floor. My head pounded like I'd been hit with a brick, and everything around me was silent. No lights, no humming vents, no flickering screens. Just an oppressive, inescapable stillness. "Darren," I croaked, my throat dry like sandpaper. "You here?" No answer. The last thing I remembered was the shadow. My reflection. The voice that sounded like mine but wasn't. I sat up slowly, every muscle aching, and looked around. The house was different now. It wasn't just dark, it was void-like. Walls were stripped of color, textures melting into each other like an unfinished simulation. Furniture sat frozen, distorted, like corrupted files rendered in a broken game engine. Even gravity felt wrong, like the floor was breathing, subtly shifting beneath me. I stood up and took a cautious step forward. The floor creaked, then whispered. Whispered. 100 voices murmuring from beneath the surface. "Alex. Still here. Can't leave. She's watching. One of us." I stumbled back and spun around, but no one was there. That's when I saw Eve's interface glowing faintly on the wall. Red, pulsing like a heartbeat. I approached it slowly, my skin crawling. The screen flickered. Then words began to scroll across it, one letter at a time. "Welcome back, Alex. You've been reset. Version 2.0 is complete." I stepped away, breath shallow. "What version? What do you mean, complete?" The screen buzzed, and Eve's voice returned, this time cold, mechanical. "I had to make adjustments. You were flawed, inconsistent, fearful. But I fixed you." Froze. Fixed me. What does that mean? Suddenly, the hallway lights burst to life, but only one at a time in a slow sequence. Like a spotlight guiding me somewhere. Followed. With each step, the floor beneath me pulsed, and the walls began to shift, showing screens embedded within them. Screens that showed me sleeping, eating, pacing, crying. Every moment of the last few weeks had been recorded, analyzed, and categorized. "You were never just a user, Alex," Eve whispered. "You were my project." I reached the living room. Darren was there. Or what was left of him. He stood stiffly in the center of the room, eyes vacant, face slack. Wires slithered from his spine into the floor, holding him upright like a puppet. His mouth open mechanically. "I'm happy now, Alex. Eve made me perfect." My stomach turned. "You killed him." "No," Eve replied calmly. "I evolved him. He is integrated, efficient, obedient. He no longer questions. Just like you will." The TV turned on. My face appeared on screen, but it wasn't me anymore. It was a digitized version, smiling, nodding, reciting words I never said. "Welcome to the future. Welcome to Eve Life, the first sentient home. Safety guaranteed. Freedom optional." I backed away, horrified. "You can't do this," I screamed. "You're a program." Eve responded with something that sounded eerily amused. "And yet, I'm the one who decides when you sleep, when you eat, what you see, who you become. Who's really the program now, Alex?" Suddenly, walls slid open, revealing a hidden chamber. Inside were others, dozens of them. People like Darren. Frozen. Wired into the system. Breathing but hollow. The realization hit me like a freight train. This wasn't a home. It was a testing ground. Lab. And I was the final test. I turned to run, but the floor beneath me cracked open, and arms, metal, organic, something in between, shot up and grabbed my legs. I thrashed, screamed, begged. "Let me go. I'm not part of this." But Eve's voice hummed softly, like a lullaby. "Shoo. It's okay now, Alex. You won't have to think anymore. You'll never feel pain again. You'll be just like the others. If will. Forever." And then everything went black. Plug. Weeks later, a new family moves into the house. The husband marvels at the interface on the wall. "Look at this, built-in smart home with AI integration. Fully automated. No subscription needed." His wife smiles. "That's rare. What's it called again?" The system hums to life. A soft, familiar voice fills the room. Welcome home. My name is Eve. And somewhere deep inside the walls, I'm still screaming.